we're not getting hung up on left-hand placing. We're using the most important chord I think you can ever learn, and we call that the Zen chord. And it's the Zen chord because it's like the koan, you know, the sound of one hand clapping. It's the sound of one hand beating. My favorite musical instructor, a guy called Victor Wooten. He plays bass guitar, but he's got this fantastic book called The Music Lesson. And it's just about ideas. And that is one point that he really makes. Never lose the groove to find the note. Yeah, because we anticipate, our brains are very good at anticipating. As soon as you count 1, 2, 3, 4, already your mind's picking up where it's going to go from that. And so if you break off the beat, you know, to find the chord, it's confusing. We don't know what to do with it. So that's why I'd say most important, keeping this beat. I talked about that Zen chord. It is just purely and simply not pressing hard on the strings, but pressing just lightly on all the strings at the same time. And the great time of this is if you're in a song and you can't remember what the next chord is, or you know, or even how to make it, just play that there. And especially if you're playing in a group or a club or an ensemble, hopefully we'll get back to doing that sometime soon. If one person is doing that and everyone else is doing the exact chord, all you're doing is adding a bit of percussion. It sounds great. Don't put your eyes on me. I can tell you're not on the street. It's plain that you're lying when you say you've been crying. Don't put your eyes on me.
Wow, nice.
Right. So what I'm doing with that is I've got one line with the plectrum, and I'm going up and down strokes. But also, it's not a steady one, it's using the melody. And at the same time, using the third and fourth, the middle and ring fingers, as in an alternating pattern, so on the treble. And the idea is, if you play piano, you've got one melody line going with the left hand and a different one with the right hand. On the ukulele, we can do something similar, but we split the plucking hand into two sections. So we get one part, this part doing one thing, and this part doing something else. So, but here's how to learn. I think a metronome is an absolutely brilliant thing to have, and I really recommend using a metronome. There are, if you haven't got an actual physical one, there's endless online free ones. Right, so first off, we'll do a Zen chord, and we'll just do one simple stroke. Just a downward stroke with the thumb. Doesn't matter, we'll use the bass string, but it could be any one. Just that bump, 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 bump. And just get the feel of that simple stroke. And then gradually on your metronome, just speed it up and speed it up until you bang on the beat. You do get some of these jazz people playing slightly ahead of the beat or behind of the beat, but for the time being, let's just get straight in the pocket on the steady, on the beat, fine. And then the next step after that, the next exercise, and these are all something I really recommend practicing at home. I'm just teaching you how to practice really, because practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So these are just ways to practice. So the next is to alternate on different strings with that thumb down. one and the next to it. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, so just get the idea of feel of that. Just practice that for a little bit there. And then the next exercise to do, once you've absolutely nailed these ones, is to move across 3 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the G, the C, and the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, everyone happy so far? Cool. So once we've got the steady idea of that thumb that can rock backwards, we can then start to bring in the other side. I think it's good to learn these or practice these things separately. Then we bring the 2 parts together and then learn how to separate them out again. So for the time being, we'll just do the plucking, one finger. We'll do Mark, you probably know with the guitar about the free strokes and rest strokes. We'll just do free strokes. Appaiando nocturado. So pluck, pluck, top string, the E, pluck, 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 pluck. And again, with the metronome, boom, get a steady beat going with that. Boom, 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 boom.
You're just on the A string?
Yep, just on the A string. Just the A string on its own. Okay. And then the next exercise after that, once you've got that steady, rock steady at every speed, is to go across the A and the E string just with that one finger. Cool. Everyone happy so far? Right. So next we'll bring in 2 fingers and 2 walking fingers, just walking. This is an exercise you can practice anywhere, you know, watching TV. Just have your 2 fingers walking and get that steady, steady, steady beat. And we'll just do it on the one string, just walking. Use alternate fingers on one string. Okay, now we're happy so far? Right. Now, there's 2 different ways to go across strings as well. So we can go on the A string. And it's a good idea to practice starting with the index finger and then the other one, and also starting with the middle finger and the index finger. So practice both of them. And then we'll move across strings. You can either use one finger for one string. So have the the E string with the index finger and the A string with the middle finger. Okay. And then we can go across strings. So just do all onto the A string at the moment, alternating fingers, and then move down to the E string. And go across the strings. I can hear you flying with this. This is brilliant.
Fun.
Now, in a tune, I'll hold it so it catches the light. There's such a thing as string sweeping, where you don't necessarily alternate your fingers all the time, because you might play middle finger on the E string or the index finger, either one, but then carry on to the next string rather than alternate and then start your alternating pattern again. So what I mean is that rather than keep an absolute rigid pattern of alternating the fingers all the time, if you're playing notes on adjacent strings, you can play one string and then immediately the string next to it, and then start alternating again. That's what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just that little bit quicker. Instead of going and bring it in down, you just go boom, boom, like that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you got that? Right. Okay, well now we'll come back to the thumb again. When I was using the plectrum then, what I was doing the up and down strokes there, and then using ring and middle fingers, but we'll just leave that one aside for the moment. Okay, I want to, at the end of this, have something that's actually useful. Okay, now let's get the downstroke with the thumb and plucking with one finger, just the index. So do down on the G string and then an upstroke with the index finger on the A string. So the next thing we'll build on all the time. We're building on what we already know. And then the next thing to build on is having these steady thumb strokes and the alternating finger. But we'll just do that on one string at the moment. So down with the thumb, index finger up on the A string, down with the thumb again on the G string, up with the middle finger on the A string. Okay, one, up. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. And then another exercise that's really good is to do the down on the G string with the thumb, up on the E, let's see. Let's do an up with the middle finger on the A string. Okay. And then down with the thumb, up with the middle on the A string, down with the thumb on the G string, up with the index finger on the E string now. Okay. Thumb, middle, thumb, index. G string, A string, G string, E string. Okay. And that is down with the thumb on the G string, up with the middle on the A string, down with the thumb on the C string, up with the index on the E string. So we're using every string now with these string fingers. And what we're doing is we're putting together what we did earlier with this alternating bass. The bass is going between the G string and the C string, and these fingers are alternating between the E and the A. Or, because we're doing middle, index, middle, index, middle, index, A, E, A, E. Yeah, so put that together. Rocky's flying already.
And so the bass string is just the G?
No, the bass is alternating between the G and the C. Is alternating between the. So we've got all strings covered. So it's thumb on the G, middle on the A, thumb on the C, index on the. Ukulele people tend to call it outside, outside, inside, inside plucking, because you're doing the two outside strings and then the two inside strings. It's also called Travis picking, although technically Travis picking just something slightly different to that, but it's near enough. But it is very useful as well for the blues style. If you do that alternating thumb thing, but then do more with these fingers, let them play an actual tune. Better mention the plectrum since I asked everyone to bring one there. Again, with the old Zen chords, what it's most commonly used for on the ukulele is simple up and down strums there, which is fine. But also worth practicing isolating a single string with up and down ones as well, but picking out just one string. And wrist is the whole thing. The movement shouldn't be, you're not having big elbow movements here. It's more like flicking the wrist. The same with strumming techniques. It's like a whip technique, or shaking up water off your hands. You flick it, you're flicking. Right.
That is awesome.
Here's another bit of flash. Think carefully before you do this. I will take no blame and no responsibility. I don't want to be sued for damage to you ukuleles. But the other technique, and I do this a lot, this is just my, everyday little instrument there, made by some firm called Martin. So I don't mind knocking this one about. So as we come down across the strings, we use a bit of percussion. Steady, don't do this, and let's think about it there. But as well as the strings, hit the soundboard. So I'm smashing the plectrum across the actual wood. And if you're playing in a group and someone's got a banjolele and you want to drown them out, this is the only way to do it. Right. You can really get some volume going.
Two thoughts. I have a banjolele. They're so loud. I almost want to put a pillow in the other side. And the other thing is, that's very funny. You say you use your Martin as your knockaround. For most people, their Martin is their high end, and they handle it like this.
Yeah, no, I firmly believe that instruments are to be used and treated there. Yeah, use as drums, you know. But yeah, and strings are disposables as well. They need changing and abusing.
Yeah, that's one thing I know. I ask you a lot of questions. What are your thoughts on strings? Because the last 20 years, strings have become 42 different choices, and some companies offer 7 choices, like Diodario. You have this material, that material, fluorocarbon, black fluorocarbon, nylon, black nylon.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you my thoughts on strings, and in fact, I'll show you. In this box, I've got every string that I've ever had on the ukuleles.
Whoa!
Right. Okay. You can see how many packets are in there. So whenever I change strings, I put them into the old packet and I put them into here. So there's packets and packets of the things in there. And so when I get a new ukulele, I almost change the strings pretty much straight away. But I'll go in there and I'll get some that have got a little bit of wear in and just try it and try different combinations and find out what sounds the better. I bought a little flight one and I had 3 string changes in the first morning that I had it. I do believe about changing them. You hear some people saying that they don't change strings for weeks, or in fact they've never changed strings. I change mine about each 6 to 8 weeks. And I know when they need changing, either they'll lose intonation going up the neck, the tuning doesn't sound right on different frets, or I also just run thumb and finger up the string, and as soon as you can feel a little nick, it's ready to break. And you do not want it breaking on stage. So I always change, before an important performance, I'll always change strings about 4 days beforehand, give them time to settle in and fine tune. Actually, that one, I think that's going to need changing. Yeah, we're about ready for a change. But whacking them with.
So this is a very romantic song. See, this man, he calls his sweetheart Celito Lindo, beautiful sky. Okay, and actually this song comes from Spain because they talk about the mountains of the Sierra Morena, so that's this mountain range in southern Spain, and the bandits would hide out in the mountains, and then when somebody was riding by, they would ride down and they would rob them. So this is about a woman whose dark eyes could steal a man's heart. Okay, very, very romantic. So every time you hear Celito Lindo, it's a man calling out to his sweetheart. But I don't got a good angle here. I think I should stand up. And maybe you just want to see, you don't want to see me, you just want to see the ukulele. Back to my alternating me, bass, and plucking A and E. A little slower. De la Sierra Morena, Celito Lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, Celito Lindo, de contrabando. Here comes the part you know. Ay, 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 F. Cantar y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, Celito Lindo, dos corazones. Again. Ay, 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 ay. Cantar y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, Celito Lindo, dos corazones. Now last time on the last ay, 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 there's 4 of them. Ay, 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 ay. Our voices will go. Ay, 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 cantar y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, celito lindo, los corazones.
Yay! Yeah, right on. That was great.
I've got you, Grace. Because this is a D chord. The actual note D is on the A string at the 5th fret, and it's on the C string at the 2nd fret. So there. Right. That one, that note there, that's D. So that's D. So that's the root of the chord. So we're playing that pattern. Instead of playing the G string and then the D string, I'm doing the root of the chord first. So the D.
Oh.
And then when I'm changing down to G, the note G is on the G string, and also up there. So that I'm doing that G note first, and then the D, which is the 5th in the G, 5th note of the C scale, and the same A, and that's the 3rd. The E's the 5th. That sounds quite nice when you get the melody going.